let's imagine that you're applying for a job. You want to be an assistant professor. Or let's suppose that you're seeking a promotion. And on many university campuses, you are asked to give a DEI statement in which you say, I plan to, one of the reasons why you should hire me, or one of the reasons why you should promote me, is because I'm going to,
For those of you who don't know, DEI is diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. These programs are specifically geared towards groups of people that are marginalized sometimes in society, right? And I want to make sure that's clear before we go forward. They might make it clear in the video, but I want to make sure that's clear. That's what it is. So he's saying there's a danger within it. Let's figure out what the danger is. I'm interested.
Advance the DEI ambitions.
Diversity, equity, and inclusion, for people who don't know.
Yes.
This is the general set of programs that most universities now have.
Yes, that's right. So, you've got to sort of, basically what you're being asked to do, whether they say it explicitly or not. They don't say this explicitly, but this is what is up. What you're being asked to do is to say, I'm down with the diversity, equity, and inclusion ethos, program, policy, campaign. And here's what I've done that shows that I'm down with this program, and therefore I'm okay.
So he's basically saying that when you go to universities, you have to prove to them that you're part of a DEI program. I don't know why I don't believe him, but let's keep going, because that's weird. I've never heard of that. But he could be right. He could be right. I don't know. Like, let's keep going. That's interesting.
Well, a lot of what I do would fit very comfortably within that. But let's suppose that I didn't. Just suppose I didn't like this. And by the way, there's certain aspects of the DEI, industry that I don't like. You mean to tell me that, I'm being judged at an academic institution? Let's suppose I want to be a chemist. Let's suppose I want to be a physicist. Let's suppose I want to be, I don't care, a critic of literature. I oppose this program. I don't think this is the way in which higher education should be going. Should I have to, on pain of relinquishing my ability to be hired, should I have to sign on to this? Just suppose, and let's change it around. Let's not make it a DEI campaign. Let's make it a Make America Great Again campaign.
Nothing's wrong with either one of those things. And both of them are allowed in America. I don't understand his argument. Like, is he saying that universities are not allowing him, through the DEI programs, not allowing him to choose what he wants to be or what he wants to become? That doesn't make any sense. I mean, that's not what I'm noticing. That's not what I've noticed through any of the DEI programs. I've basically studied on it. And I want to let you guys know something too, like while we're talking about DEI. You want to know something interesting? A group of people that it helped that actually really shocked me was veterans. DEI was big on helping veterans. I just wanted to say that because that was definitely different when I looked into it a little more. But I don't get his point. But we'll keep going because I don't get what he's trying to say. But he'll eventually say it. So that's the conversation.
We think then. Let's suppose it was something that said, instead of it saying DEI, let's make it say the advancement of American capitalism as we know it. We want you to be down with that. What have you done that shows us that you believe in the advancement of capitalism in America? Would I be happy about? No! I would say this is no! Well, no with respect to these, as far as I'm concerned, with the DEI statements. Well, here's another one. I just learned, and in fact, there's certain things that are happening, and I must say, I'm in academia, but it's news to me. I didn't know until relatively recently about positionality statements. So these are statements in which somebody writes an article. Let's suppose I write an article, and it's not enough for me just to submit my article to some law review or some other sort of journal. No, in addition to me submitting my article, I've got to give a positionality statement in which I say whether I am, gay or straight or what have you, in which I say my race, in which I say my nationality, in which I say my stance toward this ideological position or that ideological position.
Interesting.
What?
Is this becoming a kind of a standard?
I don't know how widespread it is. I know there was a very good article in the New York Times a couple of days ago about these positionality statements, and in fact that's what sort of tipped me off. Somebody had told me there's a law review at my home institution, and I had a friend who sort of mentioned this offhandedly, and who said, well, I submitted an article to this journal, and I was a little bit taken aback insofar as they did have me fill out a questionnaire.
I'm still confused. Like, what's the issue? Okay, if the issue is what he's saying, if the issue that he's saying is that you have to state what you are when you go to a college campus, that is absolutely wrong. If that's what's happening, though, I feel like a lot of times when people be trying to attack DEI, they don't really look into what it really is. But however, though, like I do, but I don't know. Maybe let's keep going, because maybe he may say something in this that may make me go like, whoa. But to state your sexuality and things like that is kind of weird. But at the same time, it's like I don't know one college campus that I've been on, and I've been on a lot of college campuses where anyone had to do that in order to become part of anything. Like you just don't. I don't know. I could be wrong though. I could be wrong.
In which I was required to state my race, state this, state that, state the other.
You know, the other thing is weird. Why we have to state our race when you can look at us and tell what we are? I don't know. I always thought that was weird, but let's keep going.
And as far as I'm concerned, well, what does that have to do with a proper assessment of somebody's work? This concerns me. I'm concerned about the fact, a little while ago.
I don't know why I feel like he's playing stupid, and I don't like it, because I'll admit this, right? I'll say this. We do need to make something to where white men, specifically, white men have some kind of just in this too. Because diversity, equity, and inclusion programs, let's be real, they minus out white people, right? Specifically white men. More white women have benefited from the program than white men, but they specifically minus out white men. Let's not play stupid. The reason why these programs came to be was because a lot of companies were only hiring white men. They weren't hiring anyone else. So they brought a lot of these programs to be in order to get companies to hire more people, more qualified people. Because if you look through the whole thing of DEI, most of the people that are in the DEI buckets are qualified enough to do the job. That's why it's just they're looked over. And a lot of companies will hire who they know. Like a lot of companies will hire white men because they know white men. And he's acting like he's afraid of, I don't know what. I do think there needs to be a better way that we can approach DEI, but I definitely don't like how stupid this guy is playing. And like, don't let this guy pander to you guys. I'll tell you the truth. Come over to me. I'll tell you the truth. But he's pandering in a way because he's like, this concerns me. Like, you know why DEI was created. Stop playing that stupid game. All right, let's keep going. Especially if you're in academia. So let's keep going.
You mentioned a little while ago. You mentioned the word Negro. was talking with colleagues a couple months ago, and somebody mentioned that this word had come up in their class, because what had happened was one student was reading from a Supreme Court decision, and the word Negro was part of what they read out, and another student held up his hand and said to the student who was reading, "Hey, you should be careful, because, I find the word Negro offensive, and you need to be careful about even saying a word that would be offensive to someone." And this person, and then, the teacher was, what should I say in those circumstances? What should I have said? And I volunteered, and I said, well, gosh, that's really interesting, because see, if that had come up in my class, I would have said, well, frankly, I don't even see what the big deal is, because I use the word Negro.
It's not a big deal. And this is why I'm saying he's playing stupid. We're talking about DEI. Keep that in mind. We're talking about DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. And the word Negro is coming up in this conversation. That has nothing to do with diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. And let's stay on the topic, man. I hope this guy stays on the topic. But let's keep, I don't like this dude for some reason, but let's keep going.
And, Harvard University is not, on some island that is, apart from everything else that's happening in the world. If these things are happening in other places, if they're happening at Stanford, if they're happening at Yale, if they're happening at Columbia, they're going to happen at Harvard. But thus far, and I am most especially experienced in life at Harvard Law School. Harvard Law School is an open environment in which ideas are tested, and they are tested fully, and it's because of that I say I have been fully supported at Harvard Law School, feel that it is an excellent place in which to do work. I'm a fan. I am a fan, and I'm not embarrassed to say it. I am a fan of my workplace, Harvard Law School. I'm very happy to be associated with it, Harvard.
Well, Lex gives good interviews, so I'm gonna try to look more into this to see what happens. But that's not normally what happens in diversity, equity, inclusion programs, man. All the diversity, equity, that's not what normally happens on college campuses when it comes to diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. Now, I don't know about Harvard. I've never been to Harvard, so maybe that's what I need to look more into the video to see what he's talking about. But most of the college campuses I've been on, that I've visited and done tours on, ain't none of them ever, you've never had to state that. You could choose to state it if you want to, and then you could choose not to. I do know, though, that happened in the military. I do know in the military you had to state your sexuality and things like that. I do know that, and I think that was removed by Trump. So, definitely. I mean, the discussion really is just, what do we do with white males? Seriously, we got to bring everybody in to the diversity, equity, and inclusion program. We can't into any DEI. I'm gonna say DEI. If we're gonna have DEI, we need to have DEI for everybody. It needs to be fair for everybody. Just straightforward. Just say it like that. I'm getting tired of these people dancing around the point, but yeah. All right, y'all. Subscribe, follow, whatever. Just stay tuned. I got more coming.